Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. We're here at the Oklahoma Aquarium in Jenks with a very special guest, Oklahoma Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell.
Well,
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Now, as a native Tulsan and a dad, I bet you've been here a time or two.
You know, this is one of our favorite places inside the state of Oklahoma. And I make the point often, this isn't just Jenks's aquarium, this is Oklahoma's aquarium. For all 77 counties, and it is a spectacular place. One of the more popular tourism destinations in the entire state of Oklahoma.
And you have some involvement in a big plans for this place.
Yeah, you know, we're celebrating the 20th year of this aquarium. It's amazing to think about that. This place has been open for 20 years. And so we are kicking off a big capital campaign. I'm honored to serve as the honorary chair for that capital campaign effort. It's a multi-million-dollar campaign to really renovate a few of the exhibits, including the original. The very first exhibit was the Oklahoma Aquatic exhibit, and we have 4 new exhibits that we want to unveil in future years as well. And so that fundraising effort is going on right now, and it'll be going on throughout the rest of the year, and I'm very involved in that to make sure that this Oklahoma Aquarium stays one of the best aquariums in the entire country.
That's great. You know, elected officials at the highest level who value and appreciate our state's incredible natural resources. Just another reason to love Oklahoma and the adventures that await you.
A lot of guys, whenever they find out that I hunt, their first question is, do you really? I grew up hunting. I grew up in a family of hunters. I had no idea that not everyone did this. It's what I do. I hunt and I fish, and I've done it my whole life, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud that we are able to do that. I feel blessed to be here on this creation, and I feel like every animal that I'm able to harvest was put there for me to do that. That's what it looked like in the air yesterday. Luckily, no tornadoes out of the system, just the lightning, the hail, the strong winds. We can handle that here in Oklahoma. Go back to computer now, I'll show you some of the I got into the weather business and interested in meteorology simply just from being in Oklahoma. I think we're all so weather aware. My dad was always a big hunter. When I was teeny tiny, I just grew up around it all the time. My mom, big into bass fishing. My parents bass fished together, and they did a lot of tournaments, that sort of thing. And I just grew up with my brother being 3 years older. We were super close, and I don't know why, but I was always obsessed with anything my brother was doing, I was doing too. So when my brother started getting interested into hunting and fishing, I did too, just because he did it. I feel really blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and I get told a lot by young girls or moms that, hey, you know, my daughter looks up to you. She doesn't have any of her friends that like to do these kind of things, but she thinks it's so cool that you do. The system Saturday, high threat of hail and wind. Sunday's really going to be dependent on what happens Saturday. Exactly where this dry line sets up will be key Saturday, and that will play out Sunday. Right now, the threat Sunday looks to be right along I-35. Me, the real me, is whenever I get to go home and, you know, I have my ball cap on and my camo, and I'm out in the woods. And so I love that other little girls and other women think that's neat, you know, because they feel like, you know, if there's more of us, then it's a little bit more acceptable. My dad started bringing my brother and I here whenever we were really little. Actually, a whole family would come out, and then we both he'd bring us out individually by ourselves or together, and we've been coming out here since we were really little. And really, both of us, you know, just kind of know the lake like the back of our hand, and caught some really nice fish out of this lake. Usually, you know, we start fishing in the spring and would fish all summer. We've done a lot of night fishing out here. And I've caught some of my biggest fish ever that I have on my wall. My pride and joy came from this lake. So we don't spend a lot of time on other lakes, actually, because it's kind of quiet. There are no sea-doos allowed or anything like that. So it's strictly a fishing lake, and you see a lot of fish other people catch. That's usually my luck. The boat next to me will pull out the big one, but it's a lot of fun. It's always quiet. I think that it's so incredible to just be out in the public and to have people come up to you and say, it's nice to see somebody else actually does this, and you're willing to talk about it. And what's weird to me is I'm just learning. In some cases, it's a taboo subject. I never knew that. I grew up hunting. I grew up in a family of hunters. I had no idea that not everyone did this. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Hey now. See, it's perfect eating size, right? This is a monster. Oh, you've done it now. A very small chunk of my time is actually spent on air. It's usually 30 minutes to an hour. The rest of my 8-hour to 10-hour to 12-hour day is spent looking at data, computer models, looking at current conditions on the Oklahoma mesonet, figuring out exactly where storm systems are, and also checking out radar and looking at all the data that's available to us to put together the most clear, concise forecast. Everyone and their dog calls you and wants to know what the forecast is going to be on this day for this particular reason. And I was already looking up the exact sunrise, exact sunset, and I just decided if I'm looking this up and hunting's so huge and hunting season is opening, like I really try to focus on the opening of seasons because that's when the most people are going out. Why don't I just try to put it on air? But first, we've got to get down to the business. And that is the fact that archery season, I'm going to call it archery season, not bow season. Bobby was thinking about bows for her daughter's hair when I showed this earlier. Okay, it's archery season. Hunting and fishing is huge, and I think it's even more common now than it was when I was a little kid. And you know someone in every family that loves to do hunting or fishing or, hunting birds or upland, whatever it is they're doing, someone loves it. And most of our viewers know somebody that is. So I still get, elderly women that'll message me like, my husband loves to see those forecasts, even though she's like, I don't hunt at all and I could care less, but my husband loves it, so I watch just so I can tell him, or my grandson's gonna go out this weekend, so I'll watch that way I can tell my grandson what to do. Light northeast winds, 57 degrees Sunday morning.
Hey, do you clean your own deer?
I do. That was one of my dad's things whenever I first started hunting when I was like 11, 12 years old, was that if you kill it, you clean it, you help process it, and you eat it. So. Growing up, being real little doing it, it's kind of all I ever knew. It was normal to me that that's what we did. That's what we've always done, is to fish or even to hunt, to do the same thing. It's what you do on the weekends. That's what I thought everyone did. I found out that's not what everyone does, but I've just done it ever since and carried it on. And when you grow up doing something, you don't know any other way. And now whenever, in the city on the weekends, that's fun, but you're always wishing you were here, if nothing else. So thankfully, and I'm so thankful for that, I'm thankful that they took the time to take us out here, bring us out here as kids and as a family to learn how to do this, because it's definitely something we'll pass down to our kids and continue to do. I mean, there's a lot you can do in the Oklahoma outdoors. There's a lot it has to offer. And luckily, our parents spent the time with us and our grandparents spent the time with us to teach us how to do all this stuff. And so we still come out here, every chance we get. Yes, the fish is on! Get the net, get the net. What? All right. I'll net him, Case. I'll net him for you. I don't want you to lose him. He's pretty big. Oh, we do. This is a good one. Look at that. It's a trophy. Hey, that'll eat.
Yeah, it will.
Finally, one to put in the kitty. Mine was a little bigger, but that's okay. That's okay. I think mine was just a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead. We already got one in the kitty. He wants to join his friends. My fish have been getting real lonely in here. Oh. Ah. Get the net, somebody. Oh, we've got another bass. Yes, this is a good eating size too. And they all get kisses. Yeah, it's so exciting now too to see how many women are into hunting and fishing. Growing up as a little kid, I was the only girl I knew most of my life that was interested in those things. And because of that, there was no clothing for me. I had all my dad's camo, my brother's camo, they would give me, and I still do. I still like to wear those things and whatever. But now, you can go to stores and you can find an entire section dedicated just to women hunting. The bows now are geared more for women. I grew up with, hand-me-down bow from my brother and that sort of thing. And, now they have, gosh, there's pink on everything, which is hilarious. It costs more, but it's nice. And I know now, especially having, you know, the Facebook and Twitter available, there are so many women hunters out there, and it's just exploding. And it's so great. It's so great to see. I get seriously more little girl fishing pictures sent in than I do little boys. I mean, there are so many little girls that are interested, and they're picking up bows now. They're archery classes in school. It's so exciting. I think we're really seeing a shift in the way people think about it, about hunting. It's no longer just a men's world, you know, a man's world. It's women are right along there, able to do the exact same thing. And I was raised that way though. I was never talked to like I was different, or that I couldn't do anything, that I couldn't go out and bow hunt, or I couldn't go out and, you know, fish, or whatever it was that anyone else was doing. And I was going to prove that I could. And I tried my whole life to do that. I'm only ever truly happy whenever I'm away from the city life completely. That's why every single spare second that I get, if I can drive away, that's what we do, and that's what we've always done. And sometimes it's difficult, but I can tell you, whatever extra second that we have, my husband and I, we're hitting the road, we're heading to our property, and we're gonna get out there away from the electricity and the running water, and we're gonna enjoy, you know, what we have out there, the campfire and the stars, and just enjoy Oklahoma wildlife. And I really don't know why you wouldn't do that every spare second that you have.
Here in the Spavinaw Wildlife Management Area, it was established about early 1940s. It was actually started as a state game refuge to restock deer in Oklahoma. We're going to be conducting a bat acoustic survey on the WMA. We started about a little over a year ago. We're going to be using this mini iPad, and it actually has a little module in it. It's called from the Wildlife Acoustics. It registers the echolocation from the bat, and it will give us a species of bat. That gives us two of them, but mainly gives us one for the pulse reading. One of the reasons why we're doing this type of survey is try to get more information about the non-game species, especially our bats. Especially some of them are the greater concern. We have some endangered species that utilize our wildlife management areas, and some are threatened species. With us doing habitat work, we can combine using this type of survey, not only for the bats, for the deer, for the turkey, but we can put it all together and see if what habitat work we're doing is affecting them, it's helping them or not. It's just something extra research that we can apply to our wildlife management skills. What we're looking at here is some of the recordings that we've done on the surveys. This is actually one of them, and it'll show the echolocation of that specific bat that came through. You can look right here where it's yellow, you tap on it, and it'll show your specific bat, which that showed the eastern red bat. What's kind of a cool technique about it, it gives you two different bats, but they'll show the pulse reading higher for one of them. And then also, if you go back here to another menu, you can go to a GPS view, which would be of the WMA, the GMA portion of the Spavinaw area. Right there is over about a year's worth of documentation of this research we've been doing. Each stop we go to is every half mile, and we'll listen for 3 minutes, and once that 3 minutes is done, we'll move on, continue on to our next stop. And we have about a 17-mile route that we do on the GMA portion. Before we was able to use the modern technology, we used traditional methods. Now with this new style, we're able to be more mobile versus the old way, which was just stationary and we could only do one location at a time. Well, we're here at our first location. What we do is before we get started, we're about close to half an hour before dusk. I'll take a relative humidity, our temperature, our wind speed, and our percent of cloud cover before we start. And once I do that, then we'll start our 3-minute session on our survey route. We're going to start the survey right now. As we start right now, usually when you first start out, not as many bats are flying, but as it gets darker, more species will come out a little later. So hopefully here in a little bit, we'll start catching a lot more bats flying, more activity. Well, that stops the first 3 minutes. We didn't get anything at this stop, so now we're gonna move on to our next half-mile stop down and see what we can get on the next one. We've already done about 5 stops. This is probably our 6th stop right now. And so now our bats are that get out late a little bit later when it's more dark. They're gonna start flying now. So hopefully this point on, we should start having bats at each stop. Right here is the echolocation coming up. Here comes a bat. It's coming through where the echolocation is getting caught on the recorder. And here pretty quick, I'll be able to show you what bat it is. And it was an evening bat. What this modular up here is doing, it's actually listening. It's got a speaker inside of it and a recorder. As a bat comes by, bats do an echolocation. It can actually read it, and it'll come up on the screen. We'll be able to see it when the bat comes by, and then once it about 10 seconds, it'll ID it for us, tell us which bat it is. And right now we're getting a little disturbance right here. It's mainly from the insects out here, but you can regulate that inside the settings and everything. So we just saw one, but here he goes. He's coming back. It was an evening bat. It's an eastern red. And gray modus. That's our endangered bat for the area. What's really cool about this, doing this type of survey, we can upload all this information to Google Earth, and we can zoom in on it also, and it'll show us all the routes that were done on the GMA portion. We can keep on zooming in here, and we'll actually have our survey routes just for the Spavinal GMA here. And then once we do that, we can click on one of these icons, and we can bring up the species of the bat, the time, the date, the longitude, latitude, and actually we can go to each stop and we can figure out exactly which one it is. It's like here it was January 7, 2019, 7:17 p.m. and it was a gray bat. With us collecting this information that we're just now utilizing with us, and we just have a little over a year's worth here just on Spavinal. We're actually established about 5 other WMAs throughout the state, throughout the regions. To be able to start doing this. Hopefully someday this will be on all WMAs. We'll be able to utilize this for our research where we can say the bats are fluctuating, the population is going up or down, if any of our habitat management is affecting the bats. Plus it not only affects them, it could be affecting bird species, any other game or non-game species as well.
Of all the shorebirds that spend time in Oklahoma, the killdeer is probably the most common and the most familiar. Their loud call is easily recognized, and the broken wing display that draws predators and humans from the nest is legendary. Killdeer are brown and white, kind of robin-sized birds that have fairly long legs. They have pointed wings, a longish tail, and an orange rump. The two dark bands at the neck help distinguish killdeer from other closely related plovers. These birds can be found in Oklahoma year-round. They're closely tied to the water, but can also be found in upland fields and in developed areas. They'll make use of gravel roads, flat roofs, and even ball fields and golf courses during the nesting season. Instead of building a nest with twigs or leaves, killdeer scrape dirt, grass, and rocks to form a small depression on the ground. To make up for their very open nests, the eggs and chicks are extremely well camouflaged. But if you get too close, an adult bird is likely to try and draw your attention away by making distress calls and pretending to have a broken wing. As soon as you follow the adult far enough from the nest, they'll quickly drop the ruse and fly away. If you enjoyed learning about Oklahoma's incredibly diverse fish and wildlife, I encourage you to share your own field notes. Uploading your photographs and sighting details to apps like eBird and iNaturalist is one of the best ways to get involved in conservation.
A big part of preserving the health of our natural ecosystems is knowing which animals and which plants live where. And that's why biologists like me are so grateful when folks can share their nature sightings with us. Whether you are backpacking through the wilderness, strolling through a nice neighborhood park, or even doing yard work in your own yard, the animals and plants you encounter can really help us fill in the gaps to get a better picture of the health of our ecosystems. And a picture is literally all you need. These days, if you have a smartphone or a camera on a computer, you can upload photos of organisms that you see onto the citizen science platform iNaturalist, and you can join the 16,000 naturalists who have already helped us to contribute natural history data for the state of Oklahoma. And I'd like to invite you to come outside, enjoy the natural world, and join us in keeping a pulse on the animals and plants that make Oklahoma beautiful. Thank you.
We hope today's stories remind you that Oklahoma is a perfect place to explore. So no matter how you choose to enjoy our state's incredible natural world, remember, your adventure starts
in outdoor Oklahoma.
Okay, good.
There you go.
Thank you for joining us.
Kidding me, of course.
This is awesome.
It is fantastic.
Outdoor Oklahoma is produced by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and is proud to serve and be funded entirely by sportsmen and women and outdoor enthusiasts who love and appreciate all things wild in the great state of Oklahoma.
Huge.
Yeah, there's a couple in there that are
Oh, yeah.
30 pounds, it looks like, maybe more.
Now there's a catfish. There's even a catfish in there.